Hello everyone, this is Jonathan for PokerVIP.com and we are on the TonyBet uh, Poker VIP cash game table. And this series is basically going to be myself and Spraggy, another Poker VIP coach, battling it out. And also, our members can come and join in later series, or even if some turn up for this one. And we can all just battle it out and learn from each other's mistakes and things that we do well. So, myself and Spraggy, we have quite a battle going on due to the online poker league, which is a tournament league where we've kind of like slow rolled each other. We have certain dynamics where he thinks I do certain things, I think he does certain things. So we just wanted to bring that over into the cash game tables, which Poker VIP is known for, of course, being more of a cash game website. So we created a couple of private tables on TonyBet, which you can find in the lobby. Just go to the TonyBet lobby, go to cash games. You can then see us here, and more populate once people sit as well. So there's plenty of action, and there always will be. People like Killjoy have come from the forum. We've seen lots of other people, and if you want to basically play, you can of course come and sit anytime. But there is a forum thread linked below, and we basically say we're sat down, we're waiting, or somebody might call somebody out, or just anything like that. So go to that forum thread, check it out for sort of like live updates, and come and play. And one of the benefits of playing, like I say, is you're going to get videos from myself and Spraggy. So you'll have my perspective and his. And of course, we're going to be talking about one another, but we're also going to be talking about the full game in general. So it should be a lot of fun, a great learning experience. Just to really understand how dynamics work. So Lionel Hutch is of course Spraggy. He sat down. We're going to start the game heads up. We're going to both. He's a heads up pro, or at least he was for a long time. I was a very long time ago. I haven't played heads up for about 5 years, so it's obviously an education for myself as well. And we can all pick holes in what I do wrong and what he does right. But I think I put up a good fight anyway, and still should be good enough to take him on. And yeah, when the table starts filling up, we'll just continue as we go along. So we're going to start the action and get into it. So, time to post the blinds and get at it. Like I say, starting heads up. And when the game starts to fill, it is go time. Okay, a couple of interesting hands to start. Both hands I will be playing. Obviously, Spraggy will be commentating on his side. I will be commentating on my side. So, there may be some tanking. But basically, left-hand table ace deuce, very obvious defend versus a min-raise open. And then also on the king's table, a very standard open as well. And I will be going for a min-raise open a lot of the time. I think the games are going to play quite aggressive. I think we will both be playing lots of pots and getting into it like that. Definitely don't want to make it that much. I think just half pot here is fine. And the ace deuce, I'm certainly going to float with ace high, which I think is going to be the best hand a lot. And of course, the wheel draw. So yeah, kings I bet here. I mean, I'd bet a lot of my bluffs, so that works out. And I think here I can go for like an overbet bluff. Sorry, an overbet, a value overbet. Just because I think he's gonna put me on a lot of hands that missed. And I don't think he's gonna assume I've got that many fours or deuces. Gonna continue to bet my kings. So yeah, I think with the ace deuce, he's gonna find it really hard to fold like overpairs and some ace highs. But he just went and snap folded there, which means he probably just had nothing. Kings I continue to bet, and I'm definitely not even sad about this river. Gonna go quite large, and if he raises, it's gonna put me in quite a spot. But I actually don't think he's gonna like bluff raise too often, so I think I can keep him quite honest here. I think I can just get him to, call me with a lot of spades. I don't think he folds any spade at all there versus me. Gonna have to get used to this sizing. They're just gonna barrel with the queen seven. I think he's gonna have lots of floats. He didn't 3-bet me pre, so that doesn't mean it's going to have that many big aces, but he's certainly going to have lots of, ace fours through to ace eight. He's also going to have some two pairs. And I think here I probably just have to give up with the queen high. Kind of feels like he's got an ace or a pair that he's not going to fold, so I'm going to let it go. And he actually just has a 3, which is fine. I think he's definitely thinking I'm going to be barreling a lot there. Maybe should have gone for the third barrel, which is something I can definitely build into my game for, in future action. 3-bet the ace-8 suited, going to definitely mix it up between 3-betting and peeling those type of hands. A4 off, I mean, it's super wide on the button, but like I say, just going to be playing a lot of buttons heads up and just going for a lot of half pot C bets. He's going to work at such a high rate. Maybe not versus someone like Spraggy in the long run, but certainly to start, I think it'll be fine. So I go for 2 defense here, and I will generally be checking 2 Spraggy to C-bet and going from there. This A6, I think I've got to float once. He's going to be C-betting a whole bunch. And the Ace-8, once he checks back, I'm going to start leading for value now. I don't think he's going to have that many hands that beat me. I think he bets all of his ace-deuces. He probably bets his pocket threes. So I don't think the 3 improves him that much. And he's just going to have some, like, ace-highs and so on. He now raises, which is pretty funky. We're not too sure what he's trying to rep, but I think we're just going to go for a call here. And see a jack on the river. Jack changes nothing. I don't expect him to be bluffing me that often. But I think with a hand like this, when the board just runs out of brick, I think I'm probably going to just always have to call. Even versus the overbet. And it was pocket threes. I guess that's one of the only hands that really makes sense. He doesn't always have to c-bet that hand, of course, on the flop. But I generally expect to just be c-betting a whole bunch on the button. He might be saying something like, he doesn't c-bet obviously because of the overs. Like, he's happy to just sort of like check back and go to showdown with a hand like that. Then on the river with his overbet, I think he just wants it to sort of like, look like it could be a bluff and that I want, that he wants me to fold kind of thing. In my eyes, it's just a little bit simpler. I've got ace-8, I flop top. The river didn't change anything, so I should probably just go ahead and call with it. It's kind of one of the best hands I can have there, so I think it's cool. He could also, it's kind of weird because I don't expect to have that many 3x with the flush draw because I think he just bets all of his flush draws on the flop, so he does have to be airballing pretty much completely there for it to be a good call. So maybe one to think about a bit more for me, and just because like how many bluffs should he really have? A lot of his bluffs that he's repping are sort of like combos, but he'd bet all those on the flop, like 6-9 of clubs, 7-9 of clubs, and so on. Get check raised here, pretty easy fold for me. He's going to have some draws, some 2 pairs, and also just some bluffs in his range, but with ace-3, not one for us to go ahead with. A player called Volomis has joined, so welcome, buddy. I can't pull up the forum now to see who it is, but best of luck. Please leave some comments. Ace-9 here, really like the squeeze, 3-handed. We're going to see lots of button opens. Volomis, I'm just going to call him Vol. Just flat, so he's not going to have that strong of a hand. So I think we can go ahead and go for a squeeze here. Spraggy goes for a 4-bet. I think for now I fold, but say this happens a couple of times, or say he starts to sort of like run me over with these 4-bets, and I can definitely start reacting with a hand like ace-9. But for now it's just going to be a fold. I do have a nice blocker there, you see, so that's why it'd be one of the good hands to go with. Gonna raise it up with a 7-8 and fold the king-7. Spraggy's actually playing a lot more active than I expected him to. He's not a tight player, he's not a loose player, he's kind of like the perfect middle ground in 6-max. Obviously I've never played him like 3-handed or heads up, but he does seem to be playing a lot tighter. Sorry, a lot looser. Ace Queen, I'm just going to go for a check back and call a lot of turn bets. Queen 6 off is close. It's pretty close. I think I just bet here. Get him to fold like any of his sort of like hands that have equity versus us. Of course, if he raises, I just fold, and if he calls, I'm just going to check back the river unless I improve. Check, check. He sadly has the nut flush draw and hits. If it was him, I might have led the turn. Got a new player joining, Juventushovana. Again, don't recognize the name, but welcome. Leave some comments and reviews. think I can be quite aggressive here with nines. Normally a hand I would flat, but when Spraggy is playing a little bit too active, when he is playing back at me a lot, when we are four-handed, then I think I can go ahead and just go ahead and three bet hands like this. Gonna go for a check call here. Just gonna basically disguise my hand to look like king queen, ace queen, something like that. I think I might go for a double check here. See if I can induce some bluffs. I'm pretty confident I'm not ever beat. It does obviously allow him to go ahead and hit if he's got a hand like jack queen, king queen. Then we are giving him that free card. But the main thing here is I want to check for him to bet the turn so I can call, and then also try and induce him to bluff a lot of rivers. Sadly though, he does check. I'm not too sure how many bluffs I induce on the river. If he's got ace high, I don't think he ever bets. But if he doesn't have ace high, then I think he does. So I'm going to guess here he had a hand like ace jack or ace 5 suited or something. Ace 6, yeah. It's a shame. I think if he has like some hands where it's like, low suited connectors or like jack queen, king highs, I think he goes for a bet. But I think he's going to be putting me on like a lot of ace highs myself or hands that miss, such as king highs. So he feels like he's got enough showdown value. But yeah, I was just pretty confident I wasn't going to get much out of him. So checking seems to be the best option. I think that's going to be one of the things you're going to see in this series when we're playing on these tables is some kind of unconventional lines just due to pure dynamics, trying to sort of like get each other feeling a bit weird, and just sort of like a lot of mind games. Just he'll be sat there like, oh, that's terrible. He never bet nines, and I'm just like, well, I think it's okay because I just want him to bet his nothings. So we're just mixing it up a lot. God, he's playing every hand. Welcome to the table, Hichi. I don't know if Spraggy got the memo, but this isn't a 100% VPIP game, mate. He could obviously be like flipping the script and on his side be like, right, Jon doesn't know it, but in this video I'm going to play every hand and just cause havoc. Again, that's just part of the dynamics. We haven't discussed what to do. Obviously, no hands are set up. We're not talking during the game. It's just, hey, buddy, let's play some games. Let's have some fun and talk poker. And that was pretty much all it came down to. So he could be plotting away in the background, and I would never know it. Ace Queen here. Can mix it up between betting and checking. He goes for a call. I think I'm just going to go ahead and check here and shut down. And fold the turn. I could check call the flop. I could check fold the flop. I could bet the flop. I think a good mix up there is fine. One thing to note, myself and Spraggy have obviously played poker for a long time. I would say he's a lot more active of a poker player than I am. He plays every single day on Twitch. He plays 50NL Zoom. So his strategies will probably be solider, like more solid than mine. Whereas I'm probably playing a bit more ABC and mindset related. So if you're watching me play this video, definitely go there and check out his version of it because you'll just see a complete different approach, but some very similar strategies being used. And of course, like I said, make sure you go to the forum thread and follow it because we really want you guys to be playing on these tables and getting involved and obviously learning and progressing your game. I know a lot of you from the Grinding TonyBet series signed up and play on here, so come on over, get involved. King 9 open button, flop top pair. Gonna have the best hand a lot here. Can definitely mix it up between checking and betting, but I think I'm just gonna go ahead and bet. The pros of checking is I'm going to control the pot and be in position with a medium to high strength king. The benefit of betting is we charge some draws. We go for a 3-bet with the aces and hopefully Spraggy gets silly. Sadly not. King 9, I think this is just a pretty obvious check back. Like, I don't think much worse calls and I don't think better ever folds, so just going to hope I win here somehow, and I do. Ace 10 off in the small blind. If I was him, I would have 3-bet. Pre, I don't really like flatting ace-10 in the small. In the big blind, I think it's okay to sort of like mix that up between 3-betting and peeling, but small blind, that should always be a 3-bet. King 10. Pretty tight fold under the gun, but on an aggressive table, I think it's okay. So we've got the same 5 players on both tables, which probably means to me it is all Poker VIP members. So that's pretty awesome that you've all turned out. We only gave a 10-minute warning for this. We don't really want to be planning like days or weeks ahead. It's just kind of like, okay, guys, we're going live at 11, be there or be square kind of thing. So, like I say, make sure you follow that thread, or you can go and post in the thread if you're watching and you want to come and play me or Spraggy or somebody. Just post in there, say, oi, John, let's go. Let's have a heads up battle or whatever, and we'll come over and we'll get it on. Interesting one going on here. 6-9-3-7-8. I block with a 10. So not too sure how many straights right there, but Spraggy's gone for a check call line. Might go ahead and check call this river. Nope. 5-6 wins with the lower end of the straight. I'd have to watch that hand through again, but maybe a value bet missed there by Hichi. Straights are hard to come by. You could definitely get caught by worse when draws miss. I think that's on like dry boards, there's probably more reason to go ahead and check because you just might not get called as often. But when draws miss, people will often call you down a lot lighter. Nothing wrong with bet folding the lower end of the straight in good spots. Open 10 jack in the cutoff. Get a defend versus Spraggy. I think I'm just going to go ahead and bet this flop with my gut shot. Obviously a dry board as well, just rep the king. But the main thing is we can turn some glory. Queen here on the turn, pretty good card. It now improves us to an open ender. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and bet. Betting here as well, it accomplishes him folding like a 7 or an 8 a lot of the time. If he's got a king, I don't expect him to fold. Do I expect to get raised here? Very rarely. Very rarely. I think getting raised would be quite polarizing on his part. Like it's either going to be like a really strong hand or, some sort of like weak draw. But for me, betting to get him to fold when I hold jack high seems like a winning strategy. I think I'm going to go for a call with the queen, see if I can trap Spraggy into squeezing. And we make the nuts on the end on the river here. I don't want to overbet. I think I just want to go close to pot. And I think he's never going to fold a king versus me. So yeah, we go big and we get the lot. I'm going to guess it's like king 10 and he sort of like blocks me having like the straight or something. Okay, I can't actually see. Oh, ace 8. That can't be right. Wow, I think his call on the turn's bad with third pair, even though I had what I had. I don't think he's going to be that profitable calling me with third pair on those type of boards when I opened, to be honest. I'm going to go ahead and defend the queen 10 suited. And on the river, I mean, yeah, once he gets to that point and it's me, then probably going to have to start calling. So queens, I slow played pre, I slow played flop where I just called. And now I'm, betting turn. Hoping just for a call, really. Yeah, nice. I think we'll have the best in a good amount of time. Obviously, only kings and aces are the hands that make sense to beat me, but I'm not too sure how strong of a hands he's going to have generally, so I'm going to go small here and just try and get some value. Queen 10, I floated flop. Queen high is going to be good a lot. Check, check, turn, and I do win with my queens there. Let's have a look what he had. Was that nines? Pocket nines. Don't really like his call. I called pre, I called flop. I bet turn and I bet river. But I did give him a good price, but yeah, maybe that's a fold. Queen 10 here is interesting. Spraggy's maybe thinking, well, how often does a bluff work here? How often does John have ace high? Doesn't I was just about to say, doesn't overbet work as a bluff this time? I think he is capable of having like a hand that beats me a lot here, but I think it might just become a call, just in the fact that okay, so he overbet me before with obviously a very strong hand. This hand's very different because there's just been less action, and it's been like, okay, he opens button. I call a king 3-3. We both check the queen turn, and now he overbets the river. So again, just really polarizing his range here. Like I think he would do this with any king, of course. And I certainly think he'd do it with like pocket fours, but I don't know how often he does it with a queen. Ace queen, of course, beats me. So it's kind of like, okay, so he just has king X or I win. I think he is definitely capable of checking the turn with the king. But again, I think folding here might be a bit too weak. I mean, with a king, I just snap. With the queen is pretty close. It is pretty close. And I think generally I'm just going to have to call here. Has he done the double? Okay, it's just with the queen. I didn't think he would overbet the queen. I don't know if I like that line by him. But I guess he's just put me on some queens, which doesn't really make sense. Like, if he's betting that, that means he's put me on a queen and he wants me to fold. You know, or he's assuming that, like, my hand is just obviously, like, a mid pair, like fives through to eights or something, and that I would call this thinking it's a bluff. Which I might, and I probably do, but it's that close with queens that maybe with those small pairs it's a pretty easy fold. So pretty interesting. I'll be very interested to see what he's saying on his video. It's so cool as well, like knowing that I'm playing this, he's playing that, and then we both get to hear each other's thoughts. Like it is such a cool like way to learn and just understand what people think, and obviously what he thinks about me, and you know what I think about him. Like I watch him. I was a fan of his on Twitch. He's a winning cash game player. Um, you know, so I know that he's good. Spraggy, what does he know of me? Well, I've messed about with him in some OPLs, and I used to play poker a lot. So maybe he has a lot less respect for my game, and I have a lot more for his. And that's not a bad thing. He's just like, you know, if he's playing 50 in LA every single day, and I'm not, he's probably going to be the better player. So there's just lots of really cool, interesting bits of this. It's going to just be great to sort of like hear his thoughts on my play, how we play together, and why he did that. You know, I guess he's doing it as value, as like some really weird overbet value thing to try and trick me into calling with a smaller pair, which is crazy. I mean, that's just super high level poker. And like it'd be interesting what he thinks about my call there of Queen 10. Very cool stuff. Anyway, Jack Queen I opened under the gun. Pretty easy bet here. Against a guy with 45 bigs. I mean, just going to react and see what he does, but probably just very rarely going to be folding Jack Queen in that spot versus any aggression. But he folds, so we avoid the headache. Four six suited, pretty close versus the 3x, but because he's pretty short, I think we can just fold. Yeah, that hand as well, with like Queen 10 versus Jack Queen overbet. I think he knows that I'm happy to go to showdown by calling flop, checking turn, checking river. Like, I'm not bluffing it often, so my hand is kind of face up to being like a worse pair than a king a lot of the time, or a decent ace high. King Queen I open, blind versus blind I bet. I'm just going to continue to bet. I think he's going to have some worse queens and some flush draws. Don't expect to have that many threes. And ace, queen, aces, and kings, I expect him to 3-bet pre. So I'm just going to go for the 1, 2, 3. I don't love the 10 because queen 10 obviously now gets there, but I'm just happy to go ahead and bet here. If he raises, I think I'll go with a call because he's repping like a 3 or queen 10, but the draw missed. And I've made my sizing pretty small that he can go ahead and, you know, raise here. So I think it's just going to be a bet call. He ends up just calling, and I think he probably just had a worse queen, right? I don't think he ace hide me. Queen 6, yeah, okay, makes sense. I think his line's fine. Gonna defend here, 6-7 off, blind versus blind, flop a straight draw. I'm gonna raise my deuces here. Gonna call with my straight draw. And I think I'm just gonna call turn again, and then I can obviously rep some heart rivers as well, or if that I've got a 5 if I brick. Pretty terrible river. If he checks, I think I just have to check back, because I just can't rep enough here. I don't think it'd be believable, especially if he knows me. You know, this is one of the other problems. It's not just my dynamics versus Spraggy. There is obviously my dynamics versus people who might have seen me on Facebook or Twitch or coaching videos, who might think I'm pretty tight, who might have picked up a little thing that I don't really like getting in certain spots, or I don't really bluff in certain spots. So people who have watched me over the years will sort of like have a good feel for my game. So that will definitely come into play. King Jack suited, I go for a defend on the button. Yeah, it's fairly straightforward. Happy to just play in position with a fairly decent hand. Flops good, or should I say Andrew Neem favourable. 2 overs and the king high flush draw. Again, just going to go for a call. Don't see any sense in doing anything but. Turn's not good. It would have been nice to say like a 9 or a 10 if it wasn't going to be the heart, just to improve me to the backdoor straight draw. He bets again. I think I'm just going to go for a call again, assuming a king, jack, or heart's good. Queen on the river. I have some showdown value with the king, jack, but obviously not a great deal. A very, very tiny amount. If he checks, I might go for a small value bet looking bluff, but he just bombs, so we're out of there. Don't play draws versus high chi, because you will not hit them, is the motto. Just letting Spraggy know it's the last 5 minutes. We're both doing 30 minutes each per part, so there's going to be 8 parts altogether, and it'll basically be part 1, then you'll get the Spraggy edition and my edition. Ace 10 I opens, Spraggy folds. He was really going crazy for that first 5 minutes. Maybe just had a string of hands that he could go crazy with, and maybe wasn't actually crazy at all. Seems we're just getting aces a lot. Again, when Spraggy's on the button, always hope this just develops into some stupidity. Come on, buddy, don't let... Yeah, okay, cool. I'm just going to go for my usual 3-bet. I think if he 4-bets, I can mix it up between calling and 5-betting. But I think calling would be okay. Just because I assume he's going to be 4-bet bluffing just way more frequently than actually waking up with the hand. So I could just call and then check call, get it in, or, you know, play whatever post flop. 9-4 suited, going to muck. And again, that's another thing that don't ever let, you know, we talk about dynamics a lot, but don't ever let that be the be all and end all. You know, so at the beginning of the video, Spraggy 3-bet me like 3 or 4 times. Well, I've done that to him as well, but I've actually had, you know, the hands to, you know, the hands. So maybe he had the hands as well. So don't always just go crazy. And that's with that ace 9 when he 4-bet me early doors. I think he 4-bet me. I said, you know, in future I could get silly here, but right now this is a fold because it just isn't enough to go off. Just because we played some tournaments with each other and, you know, had a laugh, doesn't mean I just, you know, need to start punting ace 9 in for 100 big blinds. But one day it might call for me to do that. We shall see that develop in future games. Mr. Orlandus, pretty cool avatar. Is that the Rockstar Gaming, the GTA one? I didn't actually know you could upload your own avatar. Maybe that's a new thing. We'll have to look into that if you can, and obviously let's get some VIP chips made and get them on there. I think they would look really cool, just the Poker VIP logo in there. If you want one of those, just drop me a PM. I'm sure we can set you up, or we'll put it in the forum thread maybe. Poker 9's here on the button. Gonna go for 8 raise. And it'll probably just be a defend if Spraggy 3-bets me. He opts to call, and we see an ace queen 5. I'm just gonna go for a check. King jack under the gun, pretty close, but we're gonna go for an open. He bets here, and yeah, I can just go ahead and call once. Interesting river. I don't think he'd bluff that often here because I think he knows I'd call him with 2 pair a bunch, so I'm just going to check back and hope I win. Sadly, it's the old ace deuce, not correct to the mighty 9s. Gonna set out BBs because that is my 30 minutes done. always keep the videos 30 minutes. That's a big conversation we had in the past about how long videos should be, and 30 minutes seems to be the consensus. Last hand here, 8-5 suited, going to go for a fold, and that's the end of the video. That's the end of my part. Learned a little bit maybe, but the main thing that will happen here. So part one, I don't really want to go in what I think about Spraggy. I've already mentioned, sort of like I think he's good or whatever. But now I want to go and watch his part one, learn what he said about me, and then that's when it gets really interesting. Because part two, we're both going to be playing knowing what each other was thinking in part one, and we're both going to probably change our ranges, change our get-ins, change our post-flop decisions, change our sizing, and so on. So that's when it really starts to develop, and of course part three and four will do that even further. So this was Jonathan from PokerVIP.com. Get on the tables, get to the forum thread, get signed up to TonyBet, of course. Huge bonuses, huge rake back, super nice software, low rake, everything the player wants. And I will see you next time. Goodbye.